Lesson 3, Accidentals. So here are two definitions. The first is half step. So the half step is the smallest distance between two notes on the piano and in general, okay? So let's say we start off with this note, okay? So this is C. Okay, a half step away would actually be this black key right here, and this is called C sharp, and I'll explain how that works later. So C and C sharp it's like a half step. So if someone says a half step up from C, then you would say C sharp. So let's say we have E. We start on E, so we go to the next note. There is no black key here, so you just go to F. So F is one half step away from E. Okay. So now we have whole step. So the whole step is when the notes are separated by two half steps. So once again, start with C. Okay. This would be your first half step. Then you go second half step. So now this, which is D, is one whole step away from C. So basically, it's like if there's a half step in between them. So let's look at this, for example, G, right? So this is our first half step, then we go 2. So now we know that this is going to be A. Okay? So let's just do a quick example. I'm going to pick two notes. So let's say I have D and D sharp. Is it a half step or a whole step? So we have D, and this is D sharp. Yeah, so it's a half step, because you're going only one pitch up from it. Okay. So now, there are things called accidentals, which are symbols placed next to a note, indicating a change in pitch of that certain note, right? So when I said D and D sharp, what does that even mean? So the two main accidentals that I'm going to focus on are sharp and flat. So a sharp is when you raise the note by one half step, okay? And a flat, which looks like this, lowers the note by a half step, by one half step. The key is one half step, right? So let's go to our piano again. So if this was D, this note was D, I went one half step up, which is why it became D sharp. So now, instead, let's say I started off with D, okay, and I go one half step down. What would that be? What would this note be? Well, it would be D flat, because I went one half step down. Similarly, let's say I have G, okay, G. I go one half step up. So what is this note called? Remember, when you go a half step up, you get a sharp. So this would be G sharp. Okay? Okay, let's do a few examples. So this is the first example. And we're gonna go through what this note is. So first of all, I know that this is some form of G, right? It's a G. And since there's an accidental here before it, and I know it's a sharp, that means that this is G sharp. Okay, next. Okay, so this note is a B, and what accidental is there before it? This is a flat, right? So this is B flat. Okay, next. Let's see. That note is an E, and there's a flat before it, so it becomes E flat. So that is the basics for accidentals.